I got a text message from Martin. He said Nick ain't beating me.
That's text message.
Listen to our podcast. He listened to our podcast and he said Nick ain't beating him.
Oh, really?
Damn.
Yeah. I said,
Well,
show me something.
It's going to be interesting.
He said he's 10 pounds heavier, 12 pounds heavier at this time. And his legs are going to freak everybody out.
All right. So there it is. Martin Fitzwater, very confident in texting Chris Cormier, say, I'm beating Nick Walker. Well, Martin Fitzwater, you haven't beat Nick Walker yet. And I'm going to make the case as to why I think Nick Walker is going to beat Martin Fitzwater. Okay, and I want to make a note too that Chris Cormier, Dennis James, and Milos all have Nick Walker beating Martin Fitzwater at the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro. Hey guys, Matt Sinkering here, host of the Muscle Discord podcast. And I want to do a quick plug of my coaching business. I do online coaching as well through my exclusive fitness app where you have guided workouts to follow, meal plans to follow, all the macros are laid out for you, the cooking instructions. You do weekly check-ins with me, upload your photos, your measurements, and I make adjustments as needed every week for you. So use promo code MUSCLEDISCORD when you sign up and you'll save 20% off your monthly coaching fee. All right, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Muscle Discord. And I wanted to chime in on this episode of the Menace podcast that dropped today with Milos and Dennis James and Chris Cormier. And they were talking about, Derek Lunsford versus Nick Walker post for post. But it got me thinking more so of Nick versus Martin Fitzwater, because I know that's what it's going to come down to. I'm pretty confident that Derek Lunsford is going to win this show. It's the first show, the Mannion show. It's a big deal. Having a history of Derek Lunsford winning that title as a Mr. Olympia champion and an Arnold Classic champion, and then becoming the Pittsburgh Pro first ever champion. From a marketing, it just makes sense for it to be Derek. And Derek has enough to beat Martin Fitzwater and Nick Walker for sure. Like I'm confident in that. I could be wrong. We're going to see, but that's my prediction so far going into this. Derek's going to win the show. But aside from that, who's coming in second and third? So let's hear what Chris Cormier has to say here, and then we're going to chime in, and we're going to go pose for pose. Nick Walker versus Martin Fitzwater.
Hey, I got a text message from Martin. He said Nick ain't beating me.
That's text message.
Listen to our podcast. He listened to our podcast and he said Nick ain't beating him.
Oh, really?
Damn.
Yeah. I said,
Well,
show me something.
It's going to be interesting.
He said he's 10 pounds heavier, 12 pounds heavier at this time. And his legs are going to freak everybody out. He said that's why he kept the pants on. I was like,
All right. So there it is. Martin Fitzwater, very confident in texting Chris Cormier, say, I'm beating Nick Walker. Well, Martin Fitzwater, you haven't beat Nick Walker yet. He beat you last year in New York. But for some reason, Martin Fitzwater feels confident enough to text message Chris Cormier and say, I'm beating Nick. They're going to be freaked out by my quads. I'm 12 pounds heavier. And like Dennis James says in his podcast, just because you're 12 pounds heavier doesn't mean you're better, Martin Fitzwater. Maybe that muscle isn't going to be refined, especially if you did that in 1 year. Maybe it's not going to be as dense and, chiseled as Nick Walker is looking. And I'm already kind of seeing that in the progress images that Martin's putting out. We're going to go through it. And I'm going to make the case as to why I think Nick Walker is going to beat Martin Fitzwater in less than 10 days. Okay, we're going to go pose for pose. No editing here. You can see it's equal, even. The sizing here is all the same. And the NPC news thing is the same size at the bottom of the stick. It's all there. Okay. And this is the most recent comparison we have of the two. Yes, Martin's going to be bigger. Yes, Nick's probably going to be bigger. But the structure is the same. Okay, guys? It is what it is. And the way the muscle looks is the same. So front double bicep, that's going to Nick Walker. Okay, and I want to make a note too that Chris Cormier, Dennis James, and Milos all have Nick Walker beating Martin Fitzwater at the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro. Some of them even have Nick Walker beating Derek Lunsford, which is saying a lot coming from those guys. So front double bicep, that goes to Nick Walker. Back double bicep, Nick Walker, man. The X frame looks better. His lats are flaring better. And I know we're seeing the shots of Nick doing the front or the back double bicep now. You know it's improved. And the back double bicep shots I've been seeing Martin post, I'm like it's the same structure. It doesn't look different. It's this, I don't know. And Nick has shredded glutes and separated hamstrings. So does Martin. But overall, Nick Walker just has more of an X frame and more of a complete package, right? The biceps, look at the bicep peaks from the back, the triceps, the muscle looks harder, and it looks like he's slightly in better condition here. I had to do the side tricep thing here because there's no side tricep of Nick from the New York Pro, which is the photographer. Come on, man, catch all the shots, not some, I don't know, it's weird. But anyways, here's a side tricep from Nick from 2021, Arnold. And then from New York Pro for Martin Fitzwater. Nick's winning the side tricep. Look at the tricep on Nick. This is from 3 years ago. Almost 4 years ago. So Nick's bigger. He's beating him in the side tricep. You don't have to talk much about that. Side chest, Nick Walker. Again, they both improved. We don't know what the muscle of 12 pounds or so is going to look like on Martin, but we know what it looks like on Nick because he's been posting quite a bit. Very dry, very hard, very dense. He's not beating Nick Walker in the side chest. Rear lat spread, Nick Walker. Okay. Has Martin beat any shots here of Nick Walker yet? No. Okay. So rear lat spread goes to, and that's not even, it's easy shot for Nick Walker. And that's improved as well for Nick. Not so much, in my opinion, for Martin Fitzwater. Front lat spread, I had to, again, take, because they didn't take one at the New York Pro for Nick Walker, so I had to take it from the Arnold. Maybe this is going to Martin, but his shoulder on this right here, I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe he can't extend it. I don't know. It's weird. It looks like it's sloping down, but that's what throws me off. But I think structurally, with the waist being tighter on Martin, Martin takes the front lat spread. Ab and thigh, this is apples and oranges. My eyes are drawn more to Nick because his abs are a lot more defined here. Martin has a very short torso, but his quads are better than Nick's. So it's like, what overall looks better? In the 2021 version, I would have Nick actually beating Martin in this pose. 2021 version versus the 2024 New York Pro version of Martin. We're going to see how this waistline is 3-4 years later on Nick Walker. Because if he comes looking like this from 2021, he's going to win that ab and thigh shot. Most muscular, not much to say here. Now, Martin does have a nice most muscular. His chest is very striated and ripped. But mass in the size that Nick has, the quads even look bigger than Martin's here. And this is from last year. So you know Nick's probably improved. The delts, the chest. You can see how much bigger Nick's midsection is here, though. So, I mean, we're going to see what happens. But Nick, with this big mix section, has already beaten Martin. Sorry. Go back here. So, you know, that's kind of my assessment, that it's going to be fairly easy for Nick Walker to beat Martin Fitzwater again. Leave a comment below if you disagree with my assessment, if you disagree with Milos, Dennis James, and Chris Cormier, who all have Nick Walker beating Martin Fitzwater. And is Martin Fitzwater a bit delusional to think that he's going to beat Nick Walker? Right? I'm hard on Nick Walker, but I say it like it is. And his physique is much more dense and thickly and muscly than Martin's. Right? And Derek's as well. But where Derek beats Martin in is the back double bicep, the rear lat, which he also beats Nick in. And then you're going to say, okay, well, the side chest, the side tricep, Derek versus Nick, he's going to be close on those two shots. I give Derek the front double bicep over Nick. I know people are going to disagree. I give the front lat to Derek over Nick. And I give the ab and thigh to Derek over Nick. So that's enough poses for Derek to beat Nick Walker. So that's it. That's a wrap on that assessment. Nick Walker versus Martin Fitzwater, and my case as to why Nick Walker is going to beat Martin Fitzwater in less than 10 days. Guys, I want to hear your comments below. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.